UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to the Business Roundup, your weekly guide to the latest in the business world on UBC TV. Stay tuned for concise updates, and these are the big stories. Ministry of Agriculture launches climate-smart agriculture extension manuals. Redevelopment of the source of the Nile site in Jinja displaces the business community. NSSF unveils whistleblowers platform to curb remittance non-compliance. And Airtel Uganda shares go live at the Uganda Securities Exchange. Stay tuned, it's time for business, and I'm your host, Dennis Igor. The Minister of Agriculture has cautioned the general public, more so the farmers, to brace for drastic weather changes due to the impacts of global warming. This was announced in Kampala during the launch of climate-smart agriculture extension manuals for 4 crop variations popularly grown in Uganda. Let's have a look.
The manuals are intended to sensitize agricultural extension workers about the latest climate-smart innovations for potatoes, sesame, sunflower and soybean value chains.
Our manuals are based on evidence from the field. If you look at droughts, if you look at what is it that the farmers can do, if you look at the improved varieties of seeds, whom we've been collaborating with NARO and also collaborating with Makerere University, we can see that it actually works. If you have the shorter variety seeds, you find that at least the farmers are able to cope, are able to actually have a crop which is productive within a short period of time.
The average surface temperature on Earth is approximately 15 degrees Celsius, so all global action in adopting quicker and sustainable methods of farming is paramount for food security.
Ladies and gentlemen, you must be aware now that it's not an option to irrigate, it's not an option to use fertilizer on the farm. If you have to sustainably provide water for your crop resources, you have to irrigate. You cannot depend on rain-fed agriculture because the pattern of rain has totally been distorted.
Currently in Uganda, there is 1 extension worker for every 2,000 farmers, as opposed to the Food and Agricultural Organization recommended ratio of 1 to 700 farmers. This leaves an uphill task for government to hire more extensioners in order to address knowledge access.
So there's a drive by government to recruit more extension workers. However, because we involved so many of these other partners like SNV and many other poor stakeholders in the subsector, not just in the development of these manuals, but in all other engagements, it is our hope that they too will be involved in agriculture extension.
It is prudent that the dissemination method of these manuals is efficient enough to reach every extension worker across the country in the coming years. Wadulo Makanold for the Business Roundup.
Uganda and the United Arab Emirates are committed to grow their trade and bilateral ties. According to the Vice President, the retired Major Jessica Alupo, strengthening relationships are of immense benefit for the two countries.
Come and invest in Uganda and open up your market to our products, were the appeal by the Vice President Jessica Alupo at the Uganda UAE 2-day summit in Kampala. She highlighted some benefits accrued from partnerships, investment and trade.
I would like to call upon the companies from the United Arab Emirates to continue investing in Uganda so that we can also strengthen our economy, because we know that when you do that, our GDP will grow, our per capita will also grow.
Her sentiments were resounded by the visiting delegation and Uganda's public and private sector players in attendance.
Your Excellency and the team, the Minister, you're doing a great job. And what we see the development happen in this country last few years. I would just will mention one small thing. When we visit this country in 2015, the highway from Kampala to Entebbe was not exist. Not what we see now. You can move between two places, 45 kilometers in a few minutes, whereas was take you more than 1.5 hours.
Uganda exported goods and services to UAE to the tune of $562 million in 2020, bringing the total value to over $2.2 billion in 2021.
Have increased above $2 billion, and we are continuing to count. Tourism has also increased, but also, again, from the UAE, their trade has increased. We are importing over $1 billion.
Alupo hinted on the need for value addition, since Uganda mainly exports agricultural products to UAE. Exports to the UAE are gold, coffee, fish fillets, and dry legumes.
And we know that many of the exports that we make to United Arab Emirates are agricultural products. When you do invest in agricultural mechanization, the multiplier effects speak for themselves, including the improvement of the quality of the products that we shall be exporting to the United Arab Emirates, but also the quantity and the sustainability.
Uganda was commended for its remarkable efforts towards digitization of trade and business, which is credited for improving productivity. Marina Wari for the Business Roundup.
Airtel Uganda has become the second telecommunication company to list on Uganda Security Exchange after listing 8 billion ordinary shares on the country's stock market.
A total of 4,614 people and institutions have officially become shareholders in Airtel Uganda after the telecommunication company concluded its initial public offer. Of the 8 billion offer shares, the number of offer shares allocated are 4.35 billion, representing 54.4% IPO subscription.
We will look at today. You saw the numbers. We have almost close to 11% of our shares which has been subscribed. We have a balanced 9%. We are in touch with the regulators and other bodies to understand how do we go about listing the balanced 9% shares in the market.
As CMA continuously encourage businesses that have a good idea to put the idea out there, and if investors like the idea, they will be able to invest. So this IPO for me gives me a good benchmark of what is possible and what's not possible. Even if you put aside the institutional investors like NSSF.
The National Social Security Fund, NSSF, was the largest investor in the IPO after purchasing shares worth 199 billion shillings. Although the new development is hailed by various stakeholders as a milestone for the company and the economy, the undersubscription raised concerns.
It raises a few questions about the understanding of capital markets and companies and how they operate. Because if you look at the effective price with the incentive shares at 90.91, that would be the effective price a retail investor bought a stock. It gives you a future effective yield, return on investment of about just under 11%. So you'd wonder why people would not look at this as a potential return on investment, because it's quite competitive with the money markets and the umbrella trust funds. So I think it's about knowledge and understanding of the capital markets and how companies operate, and we need to do more in terms of financial literacy and introducing this asset as a new vehicle for people to invest in.
What I want to encourage about Ugandan investors, we always wait for government to assist us. Government has done a significant part of the job to make sure that within the National Telecom Operator License, they insist that first MTN, then ourselves, we must list 20% of our shares. That is something to applaud. We should have had the follow-on to make sure that Ugandans take it up. So my view is, whatever the balance is, we need to find a very quick solution to make sure that we increase this ownership and enfranchisement, but also we improve trading so that there is liquidity.
The listing of Airtel makes it the 19th listed company on the Uganda Securities Exchange, marking a Uganda shillings 19.8 trillion capitalization. Dennis Igor for the Business Roundup.
The National Social Security Fund has updated its web whistleblower portal with key features that gives an option to a whistleblower to report without disclosing his or her identity. The initiative seeks to enhance employers' compliance to remit employees' contributions to the fund.
NSSF management says the latest key features are part of a comprehensive plan to suppress the non-compliance rate, with data indicating at least 15,000 employers are still not remitting their employees' contributions.
However, there are still a few stubborn employers. According to our data, only 20,000 of the 36,000 registered employers are actively remitting contributions to the fund every month. This gives us a compliance rate of only 57%. And compliance for us means that the employer is remitting the contribution on time, which is by the 15th, and in full. The data above means that over 15,000 employers are not complying. And really, in reality, they're cheating the employees of their retirement savings.
These whistleblower portal additions aim at empowering employees with more ability to track their retirement savings, ensure their contributions are paid in time and in full amount, and improve the customer satisfaction rate that currently sits at 86%. According to the fund, the upgrade is a milestone since it empowers government labor inspectors to prevail over non-compliant contractors.
The upgraded portal has three main features. Complete anonymity to the whistleblower. In other words, the whistleblower's identity. There's an option the whistleblower picks. The whistleblower's identity is not revealed to either the fund or the employer. Automatic tracking of reported cases. Once a whistleblower goes and makes a report, they can actually track and see how far the case has gone and what resolutions have been made in that case. It has also an option where now it allows government labor inspectors to report on government contractors and any other employers who stubbornly refuse to contribute to the fund as per the new NSSF Act.
This development comes at a time as NSSF targets expanding the National Retirement Savings Fund from the current 19.4 trillion to 50 trillion by 2035. Crispus Arinitwe, UBC News.
Relatedly, Uganda Revenue Authority has also unveiled a digital automatic exchange of information, a voluntary disclosure program that seeks to widen the tax base. Let's have a look.
Uganda joined the Global Forum in 2012, started the exchange of information on request in 2014, committed to implement the automatic exchange of information in 2021, and will implement the automatic exchange of information by June 2025.
As the world becomes increasingly globalized and cross-border activities become the norm, tax administrations have agreed to work together to ensure that taxpayers pay the right amount of tax in the respective tax jurisdictions. The exchange of information, the automatic exchange of information program, is a platform that enhances cooperation between tax authorities and brings together tax administrations in line with the globalized economy.
Section 66(1)(a) of the Tax Procedures Code Act provides for preferential treatment for taxpayers who make a voluntary disclosure of non-compliance with tax laws.
Now, the importance is that even as we widen the scope of taxation, we want to know how much of this income of yours should be in the tax net, how much should we give you as a credit or a relief on double taxation. So it is really leveling the ground and ensuring that there is more transparency, that we are able to have everyone pay a fair share of tax.
It is estimated that the country loses about 2 to 3 trillion shillings per annum in financial flows. Voluntary disclosure program is one of the initiatives being implemented by the taxman to reduce the losses through enhancing accountability.
This launch is an important milestone in Uganda's journey towards full implementation of the Convention on Mutual Administrative Assistance in Tax Matters Implementation Act that was enacted by Parliament of Uganda on 1st July 2023. By enacting this law, Uganda joins a list of more than 120 countries that have committed to tackle illicit financial flows and enhance domestic revenue mobilization through automatic exchange of information.
This initiative is envisaged to increase the revenue collection.
Besides targeting residents, what I also understood is even non-residents that are generating income, which income is said to be sourced in Uganda, but for some reason the URA does not have visibility, those would also come into the scope of this sort of exchange of information.
But what we're saying here is, with the automatic exchange of information, if you disclose and they don't, they will pay more than you, because the URA will find out where their money is. So what we end up with is a perfectly sensible business decision that puts everybody in the same direction. It means that URA, business and the accountants are all pushing towards the same goal, which ultimately ends up with everybody being wealthier.
Persons who are resident for tax purposes in Uganda with offshore financial account information are encouraged to disclose to URA between November 2023 and June 2025 so as to tap into the VDP benefit scheme. Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
Government has stepped up efforts to enhance transparency in public procurement and assets disposal with the full introduction of electronic procurement system. It's hailed as a timely landmark, key in reducing costs, time and bureaucracy in all public procurement processes. Let's have a look.
The electronic government procurement system being implemented by the Public Procurement and Dispose of Assets Authority will minimize costs and delays, besides offering a leveled ground for supplier competitiveness.
The benefits are really quite several in automating government. First, as I've told you, we have reduced human interaction. Corruption in Uganda is mainly because everything done in government gives a lot of power to those officers who have to sign them off. But with the now EGP, when we put it on the system, that transparency, that ability to know that we are 10 companies that have bidded for this supply, and the best bidder put up this price, and the evaluation was done this way, and any changes in the bid prices can be can be tracked. There is an audit trail that would help in enhancing transparency. For me, that's fundamental. So we are going to reduce the delays. Procurement in Uganda has been delaying a lot because there are so many steps which are archaic, people reading volumes of files.
Benson Turami, the Executive Director for PPDS, says the system will foster increased value for money in all public procurements and further calls for the initiative to be embraced by the public.
EGP is going to reduce transactional cost, procurement transactional cost in terms of the bidding processes, because government has been printing barricade documents. It will also enable or increase competition, because now the opportunity will be availed to all the registered providers, and I am calling upon all government officials to embrace the system in terms of building capacity of their staff, which we are also doing with them, but also in terms of commitment.
Overdependence on consultants is being pointed among major causes of delay in the timely implementation of government projects.
Overuse of consultants. Even simple things, we have to use a consultant. Why? Unless something is really requires a consultant, and in that case, you will have to support the private sector, especially those who are already established to do certain things, then there we do it. But not everything should be really a consultant. Like you have seen, EGP failed when we used the consultants. When we did it in-house, using our own people and a few, other outsiders to support them, it worked.
Currently, there are 36 entities on board on the EGP platform. However, there are plans underway of ensuring that all government ministries, departments and agencies are fully on the EGP platform by the mid-2026. The full rollout of this public procurement and disposal system marks a new era that will enhance efficiency in procurement processes in this country and ensure that human contact is reduced. Crispus Arinitwe, UBC News.
Management systems with the EGP system.
On matters of innovation, President Yoweri Museveni has directed Uganda Revenue Authority to exempt taxes on innovations and startups. This was at the launch of the 3rd National Science Week at the Kololo Independence Ceremonial Grounds.
Upon realizing the infantry collapse of businesses, President Yoweri Museveni has committed to create a seed funding innovations with the proper feasible arrangements. President was officiating at a 3rd National Science Week at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds and emphasized incentivizing scientists towards homegrown solutions.
This is not a lot of money. We can put it. You just instead of mourning and crying and so on, bring the proposal. We shall put the money. The money we have been putting. Yes, we have been putting it project by project. As Honorable Kasaija says, some people interfere with it, but we can stop them. So therefore, we don't have a problem of this minimum funding we are talking about. So number one, government seed capital, which was your recommendation, can be provided through this annual allocation.
Museveni decried taxes imposed on innovations and startups at the infantry as they discourage the would-be potential investors and entrepreneurs.
Why tax innovations? There is no logic, because even when a product is not a result of innovation, we give tax holiday for 10 years. Something already well known, but you are putting it here in Uganda for the first time, we give you tax holiday for 10 years. How can anybody tax a baby when he has not been taxing adults who have just arrived on the scene? It is because you have not highlighted it. You bring it up. No, it will stop. Highlight it. That's why we created a Minister of Science specifically to bring out this issue.
The Minister for Science, Technology and Innovations, Monica Musenero, appealed to the presidential support towards science and technology highway. She wants government to harmonize policies to reduce on the clashes in the government ministries, departments and agencies.
For STI, the funding is still limited. It comes erratically. For example, for 2 years now, Kira Motors gets money only for salaries, and we are unable to move. The second challenge we find is an uncoordinated policy ecosystem. Just when we have worked on something, another ministry or another MDA will come up with something which is counter, and it disrupts innovators whom we had built, and they were at a point of going to the market. However, there are a lot of people who flippantly talk about the nation, And when many of these investors are searching, what first pops up are scandals, and many of the scandals are imaginary.
Investors have handed over a list of recommendations to the president to make Uganda a more investable destination.
The next recommendation had to do with creating regional partnerships. Some of the investors said that their perception is that the market is not big enough. So somebody recommended potentially for Uganda to partner with neighboring countries so that the size of the transaction and businesses are big enough to allow them to bring their capital.
Stakeholders have highlighted corruption, constant scandals, which portrays Uganda a dangerous land to investors. The theme for this third National Science Week is Uganda at Symbol Day, our science-led journey towards socio-economic transformation. Abdul Nasili Lubwama for UBC.
And to the east of the country, the demolition of curio shops at the source of the Nile site in Jinja has displaced the business community in the area. Although the redevelopment of the site is supported by the vendors, their concern is the rush to demolish and lack of sensitization.
Government plans to develop the source of the Nile into an international standard tourism product. This will include the construction of a modern pier, docking place, parking yard, curio shops, visitors information center, among others. Currently, there are demolitions taking place at the proposed site. Kenneth Laibi is one of the first developers of this site. He says they were caught by surprise by the demolitions.
So far what is taking place, we are not informed of the development so far. We know that government wants to develop the place, but now what is taking place now is not clear to us.
Although they support the project, their concern is the timing and the lack of sensitization.
We know the new things going to happen, we're going to have around. There are no new people going to come because of those things. Some people are not coming now because of whatever, the same picture they are receiving all and day. But we know that for the new development, we hope to see more and more people coming, because if you see the pictures and all, just trying to show people they are going to put at the source of the Nile, everyone and many people outside the country Uganda, they are very happy for whatever is going to be built at the source of the Nile. Development of government was supposed to come after 18 months because they sent people here to assess, and people assessed. They took photographs of people, the area where you have been. They measured your area. Even if you had planted a tree, they had to take a photo for that tree. Even if it was a banana plantation, they took photographs of each and everything. And they told us that that process is going to take them 18 months. After 18 months, they will come back to us and tell us the next step. But what we are seeing now is a different thing. It seems there is another project that has come in. It has caught us unaware. We do not know this project where it is coming from.
The source of the Nile, located in Jinja district, is one of Uganda's top tourism destinations. It is at this exact point where the River Nile, considered the longest river in the world, starts its 6,650 kilometers journey north, flowing into the Mediterranean Sea.
We're speaking with Daisy and asking what are the new initiatives and UBRA and ourselves can work at to improve investment in the market. Because are we going to continue investing in property which gives an average return of between 4% to 8%, yet you have securities that will give you between 12% and 18%.
We wrap up the business roundup with some words of wisdom. Listen more than you talk and be teachable. Thanks for being a loyal audience. We appreciate feedback on BRU and our private social media handles. I've been your host, Danny Sigoa, and thank you for being part of the show. Bye-bye.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.